We are one game into the season and Cole Caufield is already making Montreal Canadiens history. I'll be talking about that, plus what may have been Carey Price's final goodbye in front of the whole Bell Center last night. And finally, we'll top it off with a huge Mike Matheson injury update, so you guys won't want to miss this episode of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, and welcome everyone to this episode of Habs Digest. We have some news to get into today, but don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're brand new. We're trying to, get our footing and jump into this YouTube thing as well as we can. So if you haven't seen it, go watch our recap for the Habs vs. Leafs game last night. But for today, we're getting into some news, and we're starting off strong with Cole Caufield. Cole Caufield makes some Montreal Canadiens history last night. In the first game of the season, Cole Caufield led the team. He had 2 goals in a huge Montreal Canadiens win. We had a few great goals down the stretch. Sean Monahan, Josh Anderson, just an absolutely amazing performance from the boys. But Caufield was, of course, the star. This man had 2 goals against the Leafs on home ice to start the season. You can't ask for anything better. But those 2 goals weren't just 2 amazing goals against the Leafs. It put him in elite company in Habs history. Cole Caufield is the first player in 100 years to score 7 goals in his first 9 games versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes, it's a bit of a specific stat. Sure, 7 goals in 9 games, but it doesn't matter because Montreal's been playing Toronto since it feels like the beginning of time. 100 plus years they've been playing Toronto, and he's the first guy since Arber Xhekaj in the 1922-23 season to score 7 goals in his first 9 games against the Leafs. Again, specific, I don't care. It's an amazing Caufield stat. He has looked phenomenal in the preseason and in this first game of the season, and I'm super excited because those 2 goals not only put him in Canadiens history, it starts to rank him up with some of the best goal scorers in the NHL today, and let me show you what I mean. Take a look at this list. This time period here for this list is since Martin St. Louis first took over as the Montreal Canadiens head coach. So these are the goal leaders in the NHL since St. Louis coached his first game. You can see Matthews, Kaprizov, Elias Lindholm, but then Cole Caufield is tied for 4th in most goals since St. Louis coached his first game for Montreal. That is amazing. 24 goals in 38 games. That is nearly a 50-goal pace. I believe it. It might even be a 50-goal pace. Maybe 49, something like that. But it's again why I think my prediction of Cole Caufield scoring 50 goals is not as outrageous as some people might say. I think Cole Caufield has the potential to get there if Martin St. Louis keeps coaching the team the way he did last night and just gets everyone to buy into the system, gets everyone excited, gets everyone confident. Confidence is the huge thing. Cole Caufield was so confident in himself last night, and I think if that continues, 50 goals, it'll be easy for Caufield, and he who knows, he might win the Rocket. He got some great competition in Auston Matthews, no doubt, but I would love to see Caufield be fighting for that. Can you imagine a Caufield and Auston Matthews Rocket Richard Trophy race? I can't imagine anything better. But, we're jumping in from some positive news here from Cole Caufield to some more sad news. If you watched the game last night, you saw the pregame introduction for all the Habs players that were not playing that night, followed by all the active players and the passing of the torch ceremony for Nick Suzuki. But a big part of this ceremony was Carey Price. He came out as one of the inactive players in his cowboy hat, looking absolutely phenomenal, but you could tell he was limping. He came out there and he just didn't look himself. He came out and looked at the crowd. He clearly was overcome with a bit of emotion. Didn't cry or anything, but you could just see it on his face. And you have to wonder, was this his final goodbye in front of the Bell Center, in front of a big audience like that? If Carey Price never plays again, he may never have the opportunity to step in front of the crowd like he did last night. Sure, he has a few more years left on his contract, but this feels like it might be it. Something about last night just felt different. It felt like this might be the end of Carey Price with the Montreal Canadiens, at least in front of the crowd. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there was an article posted talking about Carey Price and the surgery that he would need if he wants to keep playing hockey. So the gist of it is, the surgery that Carey Price would need is only about 75% effective. And that 75% is for your average human being living a normal life of mobility after having the surgery, not a professional athlete, let alone a professional goaltender who relies on his knees and his joints more than maybe anyone else. So, he has to weigh these risks, as he said, against, would he risk his potential well-being? Would he risk his mobility? right now just to play hockey? Or should he make sure he's healthy and raise his children, live with his wife, have a great family life? Is that more important right now? He's 35 years old. Montreal probably won't be competing for a Stanley Cup in the next couple of seasons, although I would love to see them do that. So he really has some choices to evaluate, and I'm going to bring up this picture that he posted on Instagram. My deepest thank you. Merci beaucoup. Go Habs go. And of course Nick Suzuki with the goat emoji. I mean, Carey Price is the GOAT of my lifetime, really, in Montreal. I mean, when I was young, I got to witness some amazing players like Saku Koivu, an amazing captain, the cancer story coming back, some superstars like Alexei Kovalev, my personal favorite player when I was younger, Michael Ryder, maybe not a superstar in his day, but Carey Price is the best Montreal Canadien of my lifetime. That Hart Trophy run, just with the Vezina the same season, what should have been a Stanley Cup Finals run. I'm not gonna dwell on that series with the Rangers anymore. But Carey Price was my not even childhood, just my whole life as a Habs fan, basically. The most important years of my life as a Habs fan, and I have nothing but great things to say about him, and as I'm sure most of you don't have anything negative to say either. We all just want to thank Mr. Carey Price, and if that was the final goodbye, it was an amazing career, and we wish him the best moving forward. So, sort of a somber news video today. We move on from one to another. Here's a Mike Matheson injury update. So, we knew that Mike Matheson was acquired in the offseason for Jeff Petrie. Jeff Petrie wanted out for a while. Him and Kent Hughes worked together to try and find him the best landing spot for him and his family, and that ended up being Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh decided to ship over Mike Matheson to Montreal, who actually had a quite good season for Pittsburgh last year. The people clowned on, I believe it was Florida, for signing Matheson to such a large contract at the time, but he sort of lived up to it last year in Pittsburgh, and he's looking like he's growing into this contract, and he's going to be a solid defenseman for Montreal, maybe even first pairing. In fact, probably first pairing for them this season. Great preseason and training camp, but of course, in Habs fashion, within the last couple of years, he gets injured right before the start of the season. So we're forced to start 3 rookies, who looked great, by the way. Gosse looked amazing. I guess technically not a rookie. Jordan Harris, technically, I guess, he also played in seasons before. But Arber Xhekaj definitely is a rookie, and so is Caden Gooley. So we had so many young guys in the D-corps because Matheson couldn't play. Same thing with Edmondson. But Edmondson's still out indefinitely. But we have this update on Mike Matheson. Matheson devrait manquer 8 semaines. Is expected to miss 8 weeks with an abdominal muscle strain following the results of the MRI. Great. Great news. I mean, Mike Matheson is out. Sarcasm, of course. I mean, it just sucks. Because, sure, Montreal, we came into this season thinking maybe we can tank for Bedard, right? We're not going to be amazing. It's okay if some key players are missing. Mike Matheson's out. We'll lose some more games, get some more minutes to the young guys. But you want him around. I'm sure he'll still be around the team and trying to mentor these guys, but game experience is some of the most important minutes for these young defensemen trying to get their footing in the league. And these young guys have a chance to be partnered with Mike Matheson, and he has some amazing things that he can teach them if they share the ice with him. So, while, yes, we might lose more games, get closer to Bedard, and get these young guys more minutes, it still does hurt the team to miss Mike Matheson for this long. And, Mike Matheson also contributes to some winning hockey. Right? And it's not like we're going to go into every game and just say, we want to get smoked. Montreal wants to compete this year, and that was obvious last night. I want this team to win as much as they possibly can. If we end up with Bedard, great, but what matters is buying into the system and having everyone, again, buy in and just play as hard as they can every single night and try to win these games. Because if you're down and you're losing every game, morale goes down, players don't start playing as well, you have these, depressive parts of the season. But it's just nice to have someone like Matheson on that back end, someone with lots of experience that you can just count on night in and night out. So he'll be out for 8 weeks. We'll be counting down the days. He'll be back sometime in December, hopefully around Christmas, just before. And I'm looking forward to him coming back. So to cap off this video, I wanted to speak about Arber Xhekaj. He spoke out on a little blunder he made last game. Of course, his first NHL game. The Arber Xhekaj story is amazing. He played with Laval last season. But this man was working in Costco during the pandemic. He was not really on the radar of any team. Arber Xhekaj just came kind of out of nowhere and just kept impressing people at every level with his physicality, his big body, his ability to use that body to gain advantages in the game. And I mean, he even showed some goal-scoring prowess last year in the playoffs. And he's just been such a crazy story, and he's finally with Montreal. And he comes in, his first game of the season, and he looked great. He laid a hit early, and just looked awesome. But later in the game, he let Kerfoot get behind him. Blunder. He lost track of his man. He lost his footing. He couldn't quite recover in time, and Kerfoot had a breakaway. Xhekaj hooked him, caused a penalty shot. And you saw him when it panned to the bench. Arber Xhekaj looked absolutely terrified. He didn't want a goal off a penalty shot in a clutch game, in the first game of the season, in the clutch moment. Oh, he was scared. Jake Allen luckily made the save, and all was good. And, you saw Chris Weidman talk to him and say, hey, man, don't worry about it. Get him next time. And Xhekaj was asked after the game about that blunder. And here's what he had to say. For me, when I play, I block out everything around me and play the same game I've been playing my whole life. I just stick to my game and shake it off and play. It's my first game, and there's going to be nerves, but you just keep going. If you look back on your mistakes and keep them in your mind during a game like that, you're not going to go anywhere. And I just thought that was super mature from Xhekaj. Like, you read that and you don't think that that's a young rookie playing his first NHL game. That sounds like something a veteran would say. And having that mindset is absolutely perfect. And you gotta assume that some of the Habs veterans were really on him saying, hey, don't worry about it. As Marty St. Louis said in a recent interview, he doesn't focus too much on the mistakes. Yes, you need to acknowledge them, but if you make players too worried about making a mistake, the players start them playing to not make mistakes as opposed to making winning plays. So this attitude from Xhekaj is absolutely perfect. He knew there was going to be a mistake. He made one. Luckily, it didn't cost the team. You move on. That is exactly what you want from your rookies. The exact perfect attitude. But anyway, that's going to do it for this news episode of Habs Digest. Hope you enjoyed. Again, if you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. This is a brand new channel. We're hoping to get rolling in the YouTube sphere and give you the best Habs content on YouTube day in and day out. I'm Josh Gosse, and I hope to see you in the next video.